I am Mars, and you have arrived at the place for music news, music origins, and underground music. Welcome to Musicality. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to Musicality. This is part 2 of a 2-part series. This is the last one, so I hope you enjoy. First, we're going to get into current music news. Then we're going to get into a music origin topic, and we're going to be talking about drums. After that, I will let you in on some more music that I've been listening to lately. I know you know that I know that I had to talk about the Grammys. I mean, it's the Grammys. Did I watch it? No. Did I watch some performances? Yeah. The people, that I was interested in watching. Sure. I did notice a few names. I did not notice a few names, but I'll name a few of the names that I noticed. The best R&B performance was won by Beyonce for Black Parade. Megan Thee Stallion won a few Grammys for Savage, Best Rap Performance, Best Rap Song, and she won Best New Artist. What else do we have? We have Best Pop Solo Performance, Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles. It's really catchy. I can't deny it. I really can't deny it. It's a pretty cool song. Best Pop Duo, Rain on Me by Lady Gaga with Ariana Grande. It's not my favorite. And I do think they're pretty talented artists, but it really was not my favorite song, honestly. Kaytranada won some stuff. That's really dope. I do like Kaytranada. And Megan performed a couple times. One time she performed was on her own for Savage, of course, and she won Grammys for it, so of course. And she performed with Cardi B for WAP. That's really cool that they were able to perform that. I'm surprised, but impressed at the same time. The next story we have is Demi Lovato has released a 4-part YouTube docuseries titled Dancing with the Devil. She released it at South by Southwest Virtual Festival in early March, and then it came out on her YouTube channel on March 23rd. Our next story is that apparently there's some problems with Aretha Franklin's family. What's going on is that Aretha Franklin's family is kind of beefing with Nat Geo for their 4-part series in their show called Genius Aretha, and they don't believe that Nat Geo has really been communicating with them about the show. They're very disappointed. They're very upset about that because they feel like, well, if you're gonna make a film about somebody I'm related to, and we're talking about immediate family, so they're like, why aren't you running any of this by me? But there's a difference in another biography tied to Aretha Franklin, a biopic called Respect, and they worked with MGM, and the immediate family of Aretha Franklin was able to put in a little input, so they're pleased with that one, but not so much Nat Geo. All right, it's time for the main topic, which is about drums. Before I start, can I just say I miss so much. I miss in-person live music. And when you're at a live performance, what do you feel? All up in your chest, you feel those drums. That's one of the best things about live music, and I miss it so much. But let's be real, I just absolutely love drums in general. But without further ado, let's get into the history of drums. Where did drums come from? Well, drums started in China. Yeah, they started in China. And mind you, I'm going to be talking about drums in a certain way. So first, we're talking about more like ancient traditional drums. Then I'm going to get into electronic drums and then drum machines. So when we're talking about like the origin of drums, drums started in China and they started to spread into other places. Now, when it comes to Europe, it really wasn't really popular at first, but then they started to incorporate drums into their military. From then on, we've gotten into a variety of drums. In the 20th century, that was when we started to get more mass produced, industrialized drums. So bands could have access to them. Now, drums are kind of the first instrument, one of the oldest instruments, in the sense that percussion was one of the first things that humans got into when it came to music. So can we really say that drums are the oldest in the sense of what we see today? No. But concerning percussion, think about like taking your hand and like beating it on your body or stomping on the ground, a stick to wood, stuff like that. That's what I mean when I say drums are kind of the oldest instrument. After all of that, in the 60s, the late 1960s, we started to get into electronic drums, which started with presets. It was like a little box, a rhythm box, the Acetone electronic rhythm box. And there were buttons that you could press. And when you press them, they already had a drum set there, like a loop, basically, to use for however you wanted to use it. But you didn't really have the most customization. A couple of important electronic drums to note. One, the Pollard Syndrome, that came out in 1976. It had an electronic sound generator and one or more drum pads. Another one to consider is how the Simmons Company released their electronic drums in 1978. They released another one in 1981, and that was the one that was popular in a lot of studios in the 80s. That was called the Simmons SDS 5. Moving a little bit further in history, the first drum machine in history that used samples was the Lin LM1 drum computer. That came out in 1980. Now, the drum machines have ties to funk and disco. That was a huge part of how that sound came about in the 80s. The Oberheim DMX was another one. We also had 808s, and then after the 808s, we had the 909s. One of the most popular uses of the DMX was on Run DMC's song It's Like That. There was a EMU systems drumulator, and that came at a point where people could create their own drums, and that was just showing how technology was advancing. It was towards the end of the 90s, the late 90s, where we had a lot of emulations of instruments and digital music software. That was also the point where people cared less about hardware and we wanted to be more digital. There are a lot of connections between electronic drum sets and digital drum sets or drum machines. You can see all types of drums now. We have it all now. Drum machines are actually used a lot in all different genres. It's time for our final segment, which is what am I listening to? I have 3 things for you all today. First, I want to talk about Double Down. It's a project, it's a duo project, It has Nappy Nina and Jay Wards. I really love this project. It's really fresh. It's something you can turn on when you're playing some video games, when you're chilling, when you're cooking. I really like it. It has a lot of substance. I just really enjoy listening to it, and I feel like I can discover new things with every listen. Next, we have Pink Molly by Molly Brazy. That's a project that came out this month. Double Down came out this month as well. Pink Molly is just kind of like a turn up project. It has a lot of fun songs on it. It's another thing you can listen to while you play video games. It's a little bit more hype than Double Down though. So I'd say it's something to play when you have more energy, if you are in a more energetic mood. Lastly, don't really have a project or a song, but I felt inclined to dive into some more Death Grips. They did have some new stuff that came out, but yeah, I just listened to some Death Grips. Very experimental, very, very unique. So I just put their whole discography on shuffle and listened to the ones that I was really vibing with. Well, that's all I have. Thank you for tuning in to Musicality.